What got you into bodybuilding? So as much as I appreciate the compliment, I'm definitely not a bodybuilder. I'm a strongman through and through. I think I'm assuming that you're asking the question and you're just using the wrong term. But I think that a lot of people start out wanting to get into lifting to look better and be a bodybuilder, that type of thing. So that's why at a normal gym, you see a lot of people doing bench presses and curls. Just the muscles that you can see in the mirror and they want to look better. So I definitely kind of moved on from that point and really started to focus on getting stronger and competing in strongman. So that is 100% my mission. And I don't think you'll ever see Brian Shaw as a bodybuilder. How do you approach a very ambitious goal that everyone doubts you on, probably justifiably so? So this is a good question. I mean, I've had a lot of goals in my life that I've had people doubt me about or say negative things. Probably the biggest example was for me number one, getting into the sport of strongman. I had a lot of people doubt me that I'd be able to do it and compete at a high level, and then setting the goal of winning World's Strongest Man. I had, again, it's so easy for people to say negative things and come out with negative comments. And most of the time when people doubt your goals or say negative things like that, most of the time it's their own insecurities coming out. And it's very much easier for them to say something negative than to support you or hope that you actually accomplish that big goal. So, when you have people like that, the first thing you need to do is you need to get them out of your inner circle, get them away from you, because people like that are like a cancer. Like you don't want to hear that. And if you have people around you that are not supportive of what you're trying to get done, then they shouldn't be around you, that you should get rid of them. And that's, sometimes friends, it could be family members or relatives or whatever. If they're not willing to support you and to back you up and be in your corner, then you don't need them around you. And that's just simple truth. I mean, in life, you only have so much time, and you need to surround yourself with people that are pushing you and inspiring you and helping you to be better. So, I don't know what your goal is or what you're trying to accomplish, but to be fair, I think you said in here that everyone doubts you on, probably justifiably so. It's not justifiable that they doubt you. If you're not setting goals that people are going to doubt you on, then you're probably not dreaming big enough. You're probably not setting the bar high enough. If there's not somebody out there that says, "Hey, wait a minute, you can accomplish that," and that's too much. You shouldn't go after that. So I think you're going in the right direction. I think that you need to believe in yourself first and foremost, because that's the most important part of it. And then be willing to put the work in, because you could set a goal, and a lot of people can set goals all day long, but if you're not willing to put the tremendous hard work in to achieving that goal, then it's empty. I mean, it's nothing unless you're willing to put the work in. So hopefully you've got that goal in mind, believe in yourself, and then kind of lay out the blueprint, if you will, of how you're going to get there. As a father, husband, professional athlete, and businessman, how do you find the time to properly rest the full amount at night? Cheers. This is a great question, man. Especially with becoming a dad, that's been the hardest thing to kind of find the time management with. So, I try to make my kids a priority, try to make my wife a priority during the day, and balance out all of the work and training and recovery and everything else so that I can spend time with them. But I would say that by far the easiest thing to kind of cut into is the sleep time, because it's real easy to kind of say, oh, I'll just go to bed a little bit later and cut an hour or two off of my sleep. But if I do that, then my performance goes down, my recovery does not go as well, and everything kind of takes a step back, if you will. So I basically just have to put a priority on sleep, and I have to say, all right, at whatever time I'm going to bed, and I'm going to sleep as close to 8 hours as I possibly can, and then during the day, if I at all can, we'll try to take a nap as well. So these are things that I already had a priority on as far as the quality of sleep and trying to get all the sleep in. Talking to Stan Efferding, once he started working with me on my diet, he was almost a bigger proponent of the sleep than the actual food, and the recovery more than the training. So, these are things that he kind of reinforced what I was already thinking, and it certainly made me, with everything that I've kind of got on my plate, think more about sleeping and the importance of sleeping and quality rest. So, it's something you just have to put a priority on, as much as spending time with your family or business or anything else. So, it's a balance, and life is definitely a balance, but it's kind of making time for things that are priority. And if you put sleep as a priority, then it's something that you make yourself do every single night. What inspires you? What drives you to keep competing and stay at the level you are at? What keeps you so humbled and as down to earth as you are? So several questions there. I'll try my best to answer all of them for you. So what inspires me? My inspiration, I've always tried to get my inspiration from a lot of different areas, not just one. So at the beginning, when I was first getting into the sport of strongman, I certainly drew some inspiration from former World's Strongest Man winners, guys that had been really successful in strongman, and a lot of different guys, not just one in particular. And then as I was able to win World's Strongest Man multiple times, my inspiration has certainly shifted to some extent now that I've got a family of my own. I'm very inspired by my boys, even though they're very young. It's a very motivating thing to know that they're going to grow up and know that their dad competed in strongman, won World's Strongest Man, and that certainly drives me. I get inspired by my wife, and on top of all that, I actually get inspired by all of my fans and supporters and people that send me messages that I've never even met. I get to meet a lot of different people around the world every year, and it's something that if I didn't get inspired from all of you, something would be wrong with me. So I get my inspiration from a lot of different areas, and I think that has definitely driven me. Second part here, what drives me to keep competing and stay at the level you're at? That one is pretty simple. It's just winning. I just want to win. I want to be the best. And that is very motivating to me, and it certainly drives me all the time. And then the third part, what keeps you so humbled and as down to earth as you are? And I would say, for me, it's always been very important with success to stay humble. And I've never let things go to my head. A lot of, other competitors or, different people that have success in different areas, let it go to their heads, and they walk around and act like they're better than people and have that kind of attitude. And that's always been something that really turned me off. I never liked that. When I was looking up to somebody, if they were very cocky, very arrogant, that type of thing, it was never something that drew me in. So, I kind of said early on, once I was able to be successful, that I was never going to turn into that person and, be that person. So it was always very important to me to stay humble, to, be thankful for what I've been able to achieve, and kind of to keep my head down and keep working hard. And I've been able to maintain that now through my whole career, and I don't plan on changing anytime soon. So thank you. Those are great questions. Does eating and lifting constantly ever bore you? I imagine eating all protein foods gets pretty repetitive. So I will answer that. Lifting never bores me. Lifting is always the exciting part. And I always say, you know, I get to train, you know, for a couple hours or whatever it is during a training session. Outside of that, the eating never stops. So from the time I get up until the time I go to bed, I'm constantly having to eat, you know, a meal every couple hours. So that definitely gets repetitive and at times can get boring, but it's kind of a necessary evil, if you will, because if I don't eat all my food, then my performance, my recovery goes down. I don't get as strong. So it's something that I have to do. It's kind of part of the job. And if I get all that eating in, then my training is better and I feel better. So, you know, it's something that 100% gets repetitive, but it's just, unfortunately, something I absolutely have to do. Recommended comp frequency for someone getting into the sport. Heard many conflicting arguments, some for compete a lot to gain experience and some for competing maybe only twice a year and taking proper hypertrophy off seasons. So this is a good question. When you're getting in, all I can really speak on is what I personally did. And I, you know, got advice from a lot of different competitors, and I mainly looked to the older competitors at that time to give me advice about how often to compete and what I should do getting into the sport. So starting out, I personally competed a lot. I competed at almost every single contest that I possibly could my first couple years, and then I would say that you know, 2007, 2008, I did that. I kind of I turned pro in 2006. So my first, I guess, almost 3 years, I competed as much as I could. And then after 2009 is where I kind of established myself a little bit more. And that year I got third place at Fortissimus, which was a major world level competition that kind of rivaled World's Strongest Man. And then I got third place at World's Strongest Man as well. So at that point, I kind of started to limit my contests a little bit and only choose the biggest contests that were the most important. And that's what I've kind of tried to stick with going forward. And the main reason for that is I wanted to have longevity in the sport. I didn't want to beat my body up constantly and kind of burn out, if you will. And a lot of the competitors that you see do, you know, 10, you know, 15, maybe even 20 competitions a year. They'll break down a lot faster than the guys that are only competing a handful of times a year. So I learned that early on, but I don't think that I would have been as good if I wouldn't have competed as much my first few years, because I got thrown into almost every scenario with the contest. I got to experience a lot of different events and you know, contest formats and that type of thing. I was ahead, I was behind, I was tied, you know, so I got into a lot of different scenarios from a contest perspective that I think definitely helped me kind of take my career forward. So hopefully that helps, but you know, at the end of the day, you have to be smart, you know, with where you're trying to go, and you know, sometimes, you know, training adequately for a contest is important, and other times, you know, jumping in a little bit more frequently, especially when you're younger, is important to learn as well.